Your daily Washington Wizards podcast, part of the Locked On Podcast Network. Your team every day.
Yo, what is going on, everybody? It's your boy D and Ed back at it again. Now, today, we got a couple of things for you guys. We got some mailbag questions. We're going to go over the Wizards-Pacers game. We got some Bradley Beal injury news, and we got some Wes Unseld Jr. news about his father and a bus that was unveiled today at Capital One Arena. But firstly, I want to thank you guys for making Locked On Wizards your first listen every day. We are free and available on all platforms. This episode of Locked On Wizards is brought to you by McDonald's, proudly serving communities since 1965. McDonald's has always been more than just a place to get a tasty, affordable food. It's an unofficial community center. A big thank you to our friends at McDonald's for always being there. I'm loving it. Now, Ed, I know we both asked on Twitter, YouTube, asked our audience to send us in some questions. So what do you got for us?
Yeah, so we got a mailbag episode. I'm still riding high from the W last night. And I want to thank all you guys for subscribing to the YouTube channel. Make sure you guys hit the notification bell as well. A lot of people were supporting the channel last night. We got a lot of comments too, so I want to appreciate you guys for that. And rocking with us last night for the video. This is from Azad77 on YouTube. He said, "Who's going to be the odd man out between Montrezl Harrell, Daniel Gafford, and Thomas Bryant when he comes back? Do y'all think we should play all three centers, or if we had to trade one of them, who would you trade?"
I would say it would be tough to play all three guys, especially with Montrezl Harrell and Daniel Gafford playing at such high levels right now. Daniel Gafford's out of the question because he just got paid, so he's out of the question. Montrezl Harrell, he's more of the possible question there, but if Thomas Bryant comes back and Montrezl Harrell is still, doing what he does off the bench and is a 6 Man of the Year candidate and having a 6 Man of the Year type season, it's no way you can say, all right, Montrezl, we're going to sit you down for spurts so Thomas Bryant can get some playing times too. That throws off the flow. That throws off just what Montrezl has going on. That's forcing it. That's forcing it, in my opinion. I mean, just with everything, I think most likely, possibly, in my opinion, I would say Thomas Bryant gets traded.
Yeah, that's what it's looking towards to. It's a contract year for Thomas Bryant and Montrezl Harrell. Both their contracts are up this year. And like you said, Gaff got the contract extension for 3 years, $40 million. It doesn't even kick in until, I want to say, 2023, 2024. So we're going to have him on the books for $1 million per year for the next 2 seasons, which is just a steal. Shout out once again to Tommy Shepard for that. But if Harrell plays like the way he did last night, I mean, there's no way you can sit that man on the bench. I mean, at times he was the best player on the floor. I mean, he had 22 and 9 and shot 9 for 11 from the field last night. I mean, that's what we needed. That energy is contagious. You cannot sit that guy down. Can't sit Gaff down either. The energy and the rim protection that he brings to the floor is what we need. That's why our defense was so much better, than what it was last year, because the rim protection from Daniel Gafford, So I love Thomas Bryant. He does bring something different to the team. Like Gaff and Harrell, we know they're not going to shoot threes. That's just not a part of their game. Now, what Thomas Bryant does bring to the table is spacing the floor. He shot 40% from the three last year. Small sample size, but that is a big difference for floor spacing and scoring. He is a good finisher around the rim too. He's good for a couple dunks a game, pumping up the crowd and getting the crowd into it. But right now, yeah, he is the odd man out, and it's not because of him being a bad player. But when torn ACL, that's a year recovery, and unfortunately, when you sit down, somebody else can come in and take your spot. And Gafford took advantage of that opportunity. Harrell's taking advantage of the minutes too, and the 3 center rotation. That's a good question too, because that's what we did last year. I don't personally see that happening. It did work out with last year with Lynn playing about 15 minutes. Then Lopez would come in and do his hook shot for about 15 minutes. Then Gaff would do his energy, bringing the energy for 15 minutes. So it did work out, but this year these guys have more stronger personalities. Where if Trezz is on the bench, he's not going to be a happy guy. We saw how that worked out with the Lakers. Gaff too, and Thomas Bryant too. These guys are very energetic and have strong personalities. So their minutes is going to have to be chopped down. And Thomas Bryant, we don't want to hold him back. He's too talented to sit on the bench. He's too talented to be sitting on the end of the bench. So I think it would be best if we trade him. I do want it to work out, though. Being an optimistic guy, being a Wizards fan, being a Thomas Bryant fan myself, I would love to see it work out. But realistically, just seeing how the minutes would work, Gafford, we just paid him, like I said, he needs 20 to 25 minutes a game. No more of this sitting Gaff on the bench because he's tired. No, he needs to play 25 minutes a game. Harold, too, needs to play 25. And like I said, Bryant deserves to play 25 minutes a game. So something has to happen there, and I do feel like one of them is going to get traded. Most likely it would be Thomas Bryant.
Yeah, and I think one of the important things you said about how the Wizards were splitting minutes between Lopez, Len, and Gafford last season, you had the excuse of, well, Gafford, he was just coming in, trading mid-season, and he wasn't really in shape. Now you can't really say that. You can't say that right now. Gafford can play 30 minutes a game, etc. He's keeping the fouls down. You can't keep him off the court. And then, like I said, with Montrezl Harrell, he's just been, ever since he's stepped foot on the court in the first preseason game, consistent. You can't keep him off the court. And like you said, I think Thomas Bryant is very talented too. And worst comes to worst, I think is no issue with getting some compensation for him.
Definitely, yeah. I just don't know what we would get back from him for him. You might have to package him and Bertans in the deal. And I think you could get a player back. I think a second-round pick would actually be – it wouldn't be beneficial for us to get a second-round pick back. I think Thomas Bryant is worth more than a second-round pick. So maybe somebody who's kind of like a similar player who would be maybe another wing, like a defensive-minded wing we could find out there, like a 3-and-D wing, trade Thomas Bryant for him, or in a 3-team trade, something like that. That's the only way I could really see Thomas Bryant being traded, him being packaged with Bertans or something like that. So it would be unfortunate, but yeah, I mean, we just have a lot of good guys right now. That's what happens when you have a lot of good guys on the team.
Yeah, I definitely agree with you on that one.
Yeah, so the next one is from Khalid Jalal. This is on YouTube, and the people who did submit questions on Twitter, we thank you guys for that. We will get to your questions. Some other people submitted questions as well. We're going to get to everybody's questions, probably not on this episode, but in a future episode. He says, do you see a final trade piece coming in to complete the roster? If so, who?
If the Wizards are contending, and they're looking good and they're looking strong, I can definitely see the Wizards trying to add a piece. Now, how big of a piece that piece would be, I don't think it will be anything substantial. I think it would be more of a, maybe depth move. You could say depth move. Probably somebody who can come in and potentially strengthen the bench. I don't know about the starting unit. And I think that's okay. Do I have any names right now off the top of my head? I'm not too sure because we're like in the very beginnings of the season and I just haven't been thinking about potential final piece moves. I want to see if the Wizards are at least a decent team first and is looking good so far. But if it comes to that and the Wizards are playing strong ball and they're in the thick of everything, I definitely can see a final piece type of move being made. Nothing crazy, but definitely a strong depth move I could see.
Yeah, so there were some names that were rumored over the summer. Of course, everybody wanted Jeremy Grant to come back. It's kind of an easy connection because he's from PG County and from the area, and he was rumored to have interest in coming here. Also, Dylan Brooks was somebody who was rumored to be interested, or the Wizards were going to be interested in trading for him. I want to say Justice Winslow was rumored. He's not really going to move the needle much. I know Bleacher Report, they love putting Pascal Siakam to the Wizards. They love doing that. Of course, Porzingis was brought up many times before last year. So yeah, it's hard to just name a player, but that's the few that I heard with rumors and of course social media. But yeah, that one piece, I think I think Dylan Brooks would make sense just because he's a 3-and-D guy and he's physical, and he did a great job guarding Bradley Beal last year with the Grizzlies. I think he would fit in perfectly for what the Wizards are looking for, just that toughness. But, we got to give something up. And I heard they want a first-round pick and more for Dylan Brooks. So it's going to be tough. It's going to be tough. But, I don't – we'll see. Because Tommy Shepard, he loves the trade deadline. So that's all I say on that.
Yeah, I mean, and the main reason I don't think it'll be anything crazy because if you're in the thick of things, I mean, you have a pretty good team. You got a pretty good chemistry. Adding a player, the name value of Siakam or Jeremy Grant, that changes a lot of things. You have to give up a decent amount of, compensation for that. And that could throw off a couple things, So someone like a Dylan Brooks, like you said, is more around that range of skill level, somebody who you could that can fit in there, So I would say minor move. Like I said before, I think it would be a minor move if they did make a move.
Right. Yeah, like you said, the conversation, you might. If you wanted to get Jeremy Grant or Dylan Brooks, you probably have to include one of the young guns, the Pascal Siakam trade that I did see on Bleacher Report. And, we take Bleacher Report with a grain of salt because everybody hates their trade machine. They did have Rui included in the trade for Siakam, which makes it – Siakam is a great defender. He can get to the basket. Siakam's – he's the best player on the Raptors. And, we definitely saw that they missed him last night. And Siakam definitely would help the Wizards out for sure. I think we would be better than a play-in game, but not much better if we got Siakam. We'd probably be like a 6th seed. I don't think it moves us past the Sixers, Nets, Bucks, or the any of those top 3 teams. But that's the only trade I could really see the Wizards making, to be honest. So I don't. Right now, it's so early to tell. So I just don't see anything right now.
Yeah, agreed. Pretty much, I definitely agree with you there.
We got 2 more questions, and but we'll get to the 2 questions after our word from our sponsor, from D.
Oh, yes, sir. We do have a message from our friends over at McDonald's. This episode of Locked On Wizards is brought to you by McDonald's, proudly serving community since 1965. McDonald's has always been more than just a place to get tasty, affordable food. It's an unofficial community center. It's a place where friends and family can come to reconnect. A place where classmates can meet up for a group study, knowing they'll have dependable Wi-Fi and endless supplies of French fries and McFlurries. Win or lose is a place where teammates, competitors, the home team, or the away team can come recharge. It's the place you always look forward to stopping at on a long road trip to rest your legs and refuel. I've been to McDonald's, like I said before in the past, after games, just after school, just when I'm looking for a quick meal. McDonald's is always the go-to for me. So head to your local McDonald's to refuel and reconnect. Did somebody say Locked On Wizards watch party? I'm loving it. And also, once again, guys, I want to thank you for making Locked On Wizards your first listen every day. We are free and available on all platforms. For your second listen, get everything you need from contender to pretender around the NBA with the Ultimate Insider NBA season preview, the biggest and most comprehensive season preview you can find whenever you get your podcasts. So, Ed, we got 2 more mailbag questions. What do you got?
All right, so this one is from Sluga, SSLUGAA. He says, do you think we can make it deep in the playoffs? I personally think we can possibly make the East semifinals. The new lineup is sick. Fire emoji.
I would say that's a big, prediction just off of one game. I will say against the Siakam-less Raptors, I think right now things are looking good. I don't want to get expectations too crazy. Let's just see. The Wizards have the Bradley Beal, even though they've been saying good things, they've also said, they still got a ways to go, etc. It's still work to do. As we've seen, the Wizards still turned the ball over 22, 21 times. So there's still a lot of work to be done before we start getting into playoffs or how far can they make it. Let's just get to game 2 and see if we can go to 2-0. One step at a time for a team like the Wizards. Is one step at a time. Don't get too ahead of yourself.
Yeah, and it's hard not to. I think it's just a breath of fresh air. Seeing Wes Unseld Jr. the ball movement into the defense. Of course, we're number 1 in defensive rating right now. I think we're number 1 in points allowed per game now. It's only one game. But, our stats look really good. And it's just weird to say that we're number 1 in a defensive category that hasn't happened in so long, even though it's just one game. But I get the optimism and the excitement from Wizards fans. But, of course, we do have to temper and be cautiously optimistic because, once again, Siakam did not play. And the East got better. You look at the Knicks and the Knicks and the Celtics game last night. They were going toe-to-toe and going at it and playing hard. Nets are the Nets. The Sixers are going to be good, even though they got the turmoil with Ben Simmons going on right now. The Bucks, didn't you say the Bucks are getting blown out right now? So it's a game by game, just like in the NFL. They say it's a week to week league. You don't know who's going to be out, who's going to be in. Every night. So who's resting? Last year we played a lot of teams that were resting at one point. Guys resting and being out. We play the Pacers tomorrow. Karis LeVert's not playing. TJ Warren's not playing. A lot of guys are going to be out for the Pacers. So you just never know. We got guys out too. Rui, Thomas Bryant. So you just never know what can happen. But that's the great thing about the Wizards. We do have that depth. Just in case, knock on wood, somebody is injured or out or is resting or whatever. COVID protocols, you can't take that. We got to think about that too, because that's still in effect. Somebody tests positive for the virus, they got to sit out. Man, that's still going to be a concern for the season. So, but possibly make the East semifinals or the second round. I think the second round is doable. I think it's doable. We can't be the 8th or the 7th seed because we don't want to play the Bucks in the first round. We don't want to play the Nets in the first round. We don't want to do that. But if we do play like maybe the Hawks or the Knicks in the first round, Celtics, any of those teams that are not those top 3 teams, then yeah, sure. I think we got a legitimate chance to make the second round.
Yeah, I mean, it's just I know emotions can be so high, especially as a fan. One day we can make it to the second round. You lose a couple games. This team stinks. We're in the lottery bound, So I know the emotions as fans that differ so much. You're on a high one day, you're at rock bottom the next day. So I would love it if the Wizards got to the second round. I really would. That would beat a lot of people's expectations and even the franchise's expectations, I'm sure, and some of the players. So, but I would still say let's just see how this season rolls on, man. It's a game-to-game league, especially for a team like the Wizards. Let's just see if they can stay consistent.
Right, yeah. Tomorrow night is going to be a measuring stick game for sure, the Pacers. And they're still not a top team of the Eastern Conference, but they're still a legitimate team that we know we're going to be fighting with for the playing game. So we'll come back to this maybe after the first 10 games. We'll see. But shout out to Sluga for the good question. The next one is from Benz, B-E-N-Z. Like a Mercedes-Benz. He says, great first game. I love the defensive effort, which is what we were hoping for during all of Scott Brooks' tenure, who clearly didn't care for defense. I've got 2 questions. Barring any injuries, what do you think our ceiling is in terms of ranking in the East? Also, who do you think we should be the backup point guard? So 2 good questions there from Benz. He said, because I think Holiday has so much potential, but he played so crappy last night, and Neto is just consistent and gives all out. I'm torn because I like them both, but I think I'm rooting more for Holiday.
Yeah, I think I'm going to say the Wizards, where they kind of match up is where I'm going to be consistent with what I've said. At best, I will hope they will fight for that 6th seed, maybe 5th seed, but I would say 6th seed at most. That avoids that playing game. And if it's iffy, if it's inconsistent, maybe that 8th seed to 9th seed playing category. But if we're looking at consistency from how they played the Toronto Raptors, 6th seed is 100% doable in my opinion. So I would say around that range. I would say stay humble and stay around that range. Backup point guard, if I had to pick, I would definitely say Neto right now. I know some people kind of don't like Holiday and Neto playing at the same time. I know Holiday did struggle. My question to Ed before we started the show was if you just start Neto coming off the bench and you move Holiday out, can that open the door for Kispert? I know it'll be different when Rui Hachimura comes back and a guy like Kyle Kuzma moves to the bench, per se. I mean, I think you move Holiday to the third backup point guard position behind Neto, and you give Corey Kispert a potential chance to play. That opens the door for him. So it's interesting. If I had to choose, I would say Neto. If I had to choose.
Oh, yeah, for sure. Neto was a beast last night. Neto had a great year last year, too. Neto was a huge part in that 17-6 run towards the end of the year. When Ish Smith was out for a long period of time, Neto held it down. Neto has some scrappy steals. He's just a scrappy player. He's a guy that gets under your skin and can be an annoying gnat. And he can pick up full court, too. Holiday can pick up full court, too. That's a good thing about both of these guys. They're both little scrappy guards that will run around and just be pests. But, yeah, Holiday last night, he was very underwhelming. The turnover was awful. Airball to three. I mean, he had a bad game. He did. And he's better than that. We all know that. We're expecting more. We saw he was really good in the preseason. He stepped up big time in the preseason. He played pretty well. And he can shoot the three, too. So, but as like you said, I'm with Neto right now in the rotation. I think he started out fast for the Wizards last night, and he's ahead of Holiday. And that will help, too. Like, I don't want Holiday to not perform well, but, if we do have to pick one or the other, so our young rookie who was the 15th pick of the draft, so he can get playing time, one of those guys could be the odd man out. It could be Neto or Holiday. Most likely it's going to be Holiday being the odd man out, and then Kispert could come in, and that bench unit could be Holiday, Kispert at the 2, Denny at the 3, Bertans at the 4, and then Harrell at the 5. And you got shooters and Bertans and Kispert and Neto to help Denny out so he can facilitate and make plays and find guys open on the three-point line and just do a pick and roll with Montrezl Harrell. So Denny could be that ball handler, one of those primary ball handlers out there. Once again, the Eastern Conference question, I'm with you too, with 6 being the ceiling as of right now until we see more consistent play. If they do play like they did last night against the Raptors, against the Pacers, and they can defend the three-point line at a high clip and shoot better, because we shot poorly from the 3-2. The turnovers were bad, too. We got to cut down on the turnovers. Kuzma had some turnovers. Bradley Beal was a little sloppy with the basketball, too. Fourth quarters, we got to finish better. That was a problem in the preseason, too. We let them come back. We were up by 29 points. Really could have put the nail in the coffin and beat them by 30, but they rallied and came back and cut it to 10. That's the only thing I really didn't like from the game last night. But, yeah, I'm still in that 6th seed to play in range for the Washington Wizards in the East. And that's it for the mailbag questions for tonight. And then we'll get to you guys' questions on the next episode.
Yes, sir. Like it said, I want to thank you guys for sending your questions. We'll get to the rest of your questions later on in another episode. But I do have a message from our friends at Built Bar. Did you know that Built Bar has so many delicious flavors? There is something for everyone. When you talk to a Built Bar fan, they're definitely passionate about their faves. If you don't know the Built Bar flavors, well, you're missing out. Coconut, cherry barcia, raspberry, mint brownie, double chocolate, salted caramel, my favorite, strawberry, orange, cookies and cream, German chocolate. Know what flavor mine's is, like I just said, it's the salted caramel. You got to try it. If you haven't tried all the flavors, you can get a mixed box where you'll get 2 of each of the 9 flavors. Not only are Built Bar flavors the best tasting, but they're healthy too. Check out the macros: 17 to 18 grams of protein, calories ranging from 130 to 180, only 4 to 5 grams of sugar, and only 4 to 5 grams of net carbs. Amazing flavors, all tasty, all healthy. Order today and get the grasshopper cookie or raspberry or whatever you like. The Built Bar is the official protein bar of the U.S. track and field team as well. Offer is to go to built.com and use promo code LOCK15 and you'll get 15% off your order. Use promo code LOCK15 for 15% off at built.com. Now, Ed, next game, Wizards versus Pacers. Is there any, expectations you have, matchups to watch specifically that you're looking out for? How are you feeling about it?
Well, yeah, I'm just hoping the crowd gets hyped, man. Season opener. Spencer Dinwiddie said in the quote today, he said he wants to see the DC crowd top what Toronto's crowd had in our opener tomorrow. And then, of course, like you said earlier, Wes Unseld Jr., his dad's bust, the statue face being revealed. So that's pretty cool. We got some cool things going on for the hometown team for the Wizards season opener. So it should be lit. Hopefully the crowd gets into it, but just pick up where we left off. Dinwiddie also said our defense was stifling last game. If we limit the turnovers, we hold them to even less points yesterday. The defense has to be our calling card. That's what good teams do. So we want to be a good team. We got to feed off our defense, that energy. I want to see Harold get the crowd into it, get pumped up. I want to see Bradley Beal knock down some shots and shoot better from the field. His energy, Dinwiddie get to the basket, create fouls, getting the bonus early. Kuzma, if he's not hitting shots, get 10 rebounds. That should be he should average at least 8 boards. He said in the press conference earlier he's 6'10", and he needs to keep doing what he's doing on the rebounds. 15 rebounds is nothing to sleep on. That's a legitimate rebound. So that was a big double from him. I think he will shoot better in the game tomorrow night. And like I said, if he's not hitting, then do other things. Gafford, energy, keep doing what you're doing. And Wes Unseld Jr. coaching the guys up, playing the 3-point line, because the Pacers can shoot threes. Sabonis can shoot the 3. Miles Turner can step out and shoot the 3. All 5 guys on the court can shoot the 3. Duarte can shoot the 3. He had 27 points. He was 6 for 9 from the 3-point line last night against the Hornets. So these guys can put it. Malcolm Brogdon can shoot the 3. He had a 50-40-90 season. He had 28 points last night. And they're not going deep. You look at the numbers from last night, they only played 8 guys. They only played 3 guys off the bench: Jeremy Lamb, TJ McConnell, and Torrey Craig. This is going to be a revenge game for Aaron Holiday too. So we got history there, right there. So Aaron Holiday hopefully has some motivation to play better than what he did last night, playing against his former team that traded him. But yeah, I mean, we got to defend the 3-point line of this one. And the matchup between Sabonis and Montrezl Harrell, 2 strong bigs that can rebound the ball, that are going to go hard. Same thing with Gafford too against Sabonis too. In the playing games, we dominated them last year. So I know they got a chip on their shoulder because we beat them a lot last year. The playing game, we blew them out by what was like 20. Russell Westbrook was dribbling the ball on the floor and playing around with the Pacers. And then the game in Indiana where we barely beat them and Russ blocked the shot on Karis LeVert. So we got some history with the Pacers right now. We got to keep it up. I think we got a winning streak against those guys, but it's going to be a tougher test than the Raptors. I think we all know that. But yeah, we gotta work cut out with us for us with Domantas Sabonis and Miles Turner and Brogdon and Duarte. So it's gonna be a good game. I'm excited.
Yeah, I'm specifically looking at that 3-point defense once again, as you read off how Chris Duarte went off from the 3, etc. You don't want that to happen in Washington. You don't want that to happen against your team. You want to start off and bring that momentum from the Raptors game into the Pacers game. You want to shut them down, because if the Wizards can consistently shut down teams from the 3, they can get it done offensively. Like I've said multiple times, the Wizards' issue has never been offense. It's always been the defense side of the ball. Any Wizards fan will tell you that. If the Wizards can keep guys shooting low 30% from 3, etc., they got a chance to win. They can't allow Chris Duarte to go 6 for 9 from 3, or Sabonis to go off from 3, or Malcolm Brogdon to kill him from the 3. They got to lock in, make it tough. They got to make it tough for these guys like they made it tough for the Toronto Raptors. And I'm looking at KCP on the rookie Chris Duarte. I'm looking at Kyle Kuzma, because there's going to be a lot of times his main matchup probably will be Sabonis, because you're going to have Gafford down there fighting on the boards with Miles Turner. So I'm looking at that, and just the team defense in general. Spencer Dinwiddie on Malcolm Brogdon. You got Bradley Beal and Justin Holiday. So it's going to be interesting to see if the Wizards can carry over that defense from the Raptors game into a different style of opponent and the Indiana Pacers. So I'm expecting the Wizards to come out and play well again. I am. I expect them to come out and play well. I expect them to come out and fight. I expect them to come out and play another good defensive game. Now, I don't know if they're going to hold them to shooting percentages like they did the Raptors, but I expect another strong defensive performance from them.
Right, yeah, and they just got to shoot the ball better from the 3, which I think will come. But yeah, I mean, you've been hitting with the bold predictions, so I'll let you go first on the bold prediction.
Bold predictions. I will say the Wizards win. They get to 2-0, and I predict a strong double-double from Daniel Gafford. I will go 19 and 11 and that's on a tough matchup against Miles Turner too. So that's pretty strong. I say a Wizards win and Daniel Gafford 19-11.
Okay. Oof. I was gonna say Dinwiddie double, gets his points, gets his assists, and I'm ready for a KCP game. I'm ready for a KCP game where he gets hot, hits 5 threes, and he did it in the preseason too, where he hit. I want to say he hit 5 or 6 threes. I'm gonna say KCP gets hot. I would go on a limb and try to pump up Bertans, but I just can't do it. We're gonna need somebody to step up off the bench for sure. Of course, it's gonna be Harold, but we're gonna need somebody else as well, not just Harold. Neto is capable of doing it too. Denny, we're gonna be looking at him. Denny had a good defensive game against the Raptors as well. So yeah, we're gonna have to rely on our bench in this game and for the crowd to get into it. But I'm gonna say Dinwiddie double, and KCP hits 5 threes.
Okay, I like that. I really like that. That's good. Hopefully, we both can hit. That would be superb if we both can hit our bold predictions. But before we wrap it up, guys, I just got some minor updates. We got Bradley Beal injury update. They announced that he was questionable for the home opener due to right hip contusion. I know he took a big knee towards the end of the fourth quarter against the Toronto Raptors, but I didn't hear anything that sounded too pessimistic, so I would assume that he's good to go. He's going to be good to go. And also, the Wizards unveiled Wes Unseld Jr.'s father's bust, which will be displayed out in section 111 at Capital One Arena. Any thoughts on anything I just said?
Just awesome, man. You know, the family lineage there, man. Wes Unseld Jr., his dad was the only player, only finals MVP for the Washington Wizards / Bullets, the only MVP in the Washington Wizards / Bullets history. So he's just a legend, Wes Unseld Jr., with the beautiful outlet pass. So, you know, shout out to Wes Unseld Jr., and he was named in the top 75 players list that just came out. There were some other guys on the list as well that made the list from the Washington Wizards. So we're just happy to see that. I know it's an honor for Wes, so I'm happy for Wes Unseld too. Wish I could. I think they should be showing it on TV, the ceremony. So I'll definitely be locked in and watching it for sure.
Yeah, definitely, for sure. And I want to thank you guys once again for making Locked On Wizards your first listen every day. Our next episode, we're going to be going over the Wizards-Pacers game. Hopefully, another win. But now I want you to make your second listen, Locked On Fantasy Basketball with Josh Lloyd. He hosts the #1 daily fantasy basketball show on the planet. It's free and available on all platforms. So once again, guys, thank you for all the subscriptions. Thank you for following us on Twitter. We love and appreciate the support, man. Thank you for all the comments. We love it. Keep it coming. Keep it coming. Hopefully the Wizards keep the W's coming too.
Yes, sir. I want to keep seeing them play defense like that. Yesterday, you know, D said, you know, Harold's dunking the ball into his wallet, you know, so he's going to get that jersey. And I was like, you know, I ain't never, ever seen them play. I want to keep seeing them play defense like that. All right, y'all, hell to the Wizards. Peace.